And if you're like me, where you want things to be picture perfect, like they came from the factory that way, then hang out, you know, ride along with me. So in here we have some lovely instructions that must have been printed with the very last bit of ink. Fortunately, after 5 or 6 tries of trying to get the QR code, I was able to get it. I read through all the instructions and they're okay. In here, I imagine, I haven't actually opened this up yet, is probably all of our Velcro. So we'll just aggressively tear this open, and what do you know? We've got Velcro, and at least they did use good quality stuff. It's 3M Velcro, so should be high quality. Set all that aside because there is a ton of it. And oh wait, one more. And then I think last but not least is this little guy, which hopefully the camera focuses, the GFC V2 Pro patch, or just GFC patch. Inside of the GFC, all popped, I've laid everything out. So we've obviously got 3 pieces of headliner here, and then we've got all of our Velcro, which I've batched up. There's 2 different sizes. There's a long side and a short side, or a short length. So I've got 4 short lengths for each of the 3 panels, and then I've got 4 long lengths. So the long lengths are gonna run this way across all 3 panels, and then the short lengths are gonna run like this on each panel respectively. So the quality on these headliners looks to be actually quite good. It seems to be like double-sided, so you can see maybe right there they've run some seams to sew the pieces together with some Velcro. Let me see if I can show you. With some Velcro in there. Yeah, probably tough to show you, but overall pretty high quality for a headliner. Definitely looks like, you know, Velcro is going to stick to it, which is awesome because I'm going to throw up all my patches once I get, you know, all the panels installed. So I guess let's start by cleaning off this entire ceiling panel with some isopropyl alcohol, so that way our 3M adhesive has the best chance of sticking. Still trying to figure out the best way to film in here with, you know, I'm still using a tripod. I don't really have a way to mount it anywhere else quite yet, being the camera. So it's a little tight quarters trying to get the shot, but I bumped down to my 16mm, so now there's a little bit more in frame. GFC says to first install the lower panel, the bottom panel as they call it. So it's a bottom, a middle, and a top panel. And again, you have 4 long, 4 short, 4 long in total, 4 short for each panel. So the long is gonna go on the very bottom there, and then the next one is gonna go in between the bottom and the middle panel, so it kind of grabs both. And then the middle to the top panel, and then the top panel will get its own at the very, very tippy top. And then in between all that, you lay out the 4 vertical pieces. So going by the instructions, we will start on the bottom with our first long piece, which I will adhere right up against the aluminum frame where it meets this white plastic roof. Oh boy, this is probably gonna be the most fun one to install because it's pretty tight quarters. So it looks like GFC, oh my gosh, didn't make it quite long enough. So I don't know why. They're about an inch short on either side, so I'm just gonna kind of feel it with my fingers and try and split the difference and keep it in the middle. But again, right up against that aluminum frame where it meets this plastic all the way down at the bottom. And then They do also recommend like pulling off a little bit of the backing paper first, and then you basically, at least what I do every time I've used, oh, that is not tearing as easily as I thought it would. I try and pull a little bit back, and then let's see if I'm gonna go this way. I'll try and like fold it over and crease it, so that way once I get this part stuck up, I can keep pulling this and pushing down the Velcro as I go, which kind of helps get rid of air bubbles or creases in whatever tape you're adhering, in this case Velcro tape. So that's the plan. Split the difference, stick one side down, push it all the way along. We'll see how it actually works out for them. Oh my gosh, it's probably a nice butt shot. Okay. Rotate. If you're over the age of 30, I highly recommend stretching before doing this job. Okay. First one is done. Probably the most difficult one. So GFC, as you can see, I've got it all stuck on there. GFC says to use either a hard-sided roller, basically like a, think of like a paint roller, but without the foam on it, so it's just a circular hard piece of plastic that rolls. To roll that on. Otherwise, they say use gloves that won't get torn up by the Velcro, or worst case scenario, you can actually use, just tear off some of this. You can use some of the backing paper. I like to fold it up a little bit and use the side that was really slippery, so that way it doesn't grab on the Velcro or tear the paper. And then you just run it along that to try and push out any air bubbles and make sure it's stuck on really nice. So, which way am I gonna go here? Oh. Yoga with Connor. Piece one of like 20. Done. I'm back with a tape measure. So now what I want to do is, instead of laying out my vertical ones for the first panel, I want to figure out where the next long piece is going to go. That's going to sit in between the bottom and the middle panel. And to do that, and basically what I mean by sit in between is half of the bottom panel is going to sit on one half, and half the middle panel, I'm not flipping you off, but you get what I'm saying, sticks to this each side of the same piece of Velcro. So I want to figure out where that piece goes first, and then I'll split the difference and lay out these ones. So each panel is approximately, that's awkward, we'll call it 29.5 inches. If it's 29.5 inches, you go 29.5 inches from there. It ends there, so don't take my measurements for certain. Measure your own GFC. They say to use like a marker to make your marks on the ceiling, so you can determine where this thing is gonna go. I don't really want to draw on my GFC, so that should be good. And then next, I will grab our long piece, and I will start it over here while I have the tape measure up, get my 28.5, stick this down, and then work my way along to match my little mark of tape on there. So that's the plan. Measure twice, stick once. Oh, wait, so this one is long enough. So why did they not cut these all the same length? We should be in good shape. So I'm gonna quickly, basically I'm just gonna measure the distance, divide by 4 to figure out where my tape's gonna go for the vertical pieces, and then it's stick the first panel, move on to the middle. All right, so we are fully Velcroed up on this first panel. GFC says in their instruction manual, if this is the first time you're doing this, expect to take about 30 minutes to install this headliner. I can tell you it's already been an hour, so whew, Maybe if you were just, you know, slapping things up and who cares if it fits right. I mean, you can't mess up these ones, but these ones you want, you know, you've got wiggle room, and you can see GFC didn't really cut these to the same length. So even if you're a perfectionist, do not expect perfection with this job. But I think now we can finally start to roll up this bit here. Try and do it without wrinkling it and get it up onto there. Couple wrinkles. I'll have to, I find that this whole job so far is a lot of trial and error. So like you can see, it's still probably could be pulled tighter, but there's the first panel. Holy cow. Alright, it took me about almost 2.5 hours to put the headliner on, so 30 minutes is a little generous, I think, on their end. And difficulty wise, just more, it's not difficult, it's just more frustrating than anything. So even though I measured, like, it's fabric, so it's got some play to it, and it like has a little bit of stretch, but then it also ends up not being perfectly flat up against there. So I found that my horizontal pieces I had to rip off and replace a few times to get it to actually provide proper coverage in between, you know, both of the panels here. So that was kind of a huge pain. And then also it's a little saggy in some areas, but maybe after the GFC being closed and in the sun and whatnot baking, it'll kind of flatten itself out. So overall, not a fun install, but I guess now it's done. And oh, one other thing, when you go to do the top panel that's closest to the light here, that's difficult to get the Velcro up and behind the light because they don't leave you a whole lot of room. So kind of stick this bottom edge first down and then roll it up and then underneath the light or over top of the light. That was a little tricky, but I think now that the light's shining right on it, you can see kind of how wavy the headliner is. So hopefully that flattens out over time. But it's a lot darker in here. So I guess from a YouTuber's perspective, maybe not ideal. I actually kind of liked having the natural light come through, but it does feel a little more cozy in here. And honestly, part of me is wondering if there was never a supply shortage for this fabric, if GFC just didn't want to spend 2 to 3 hours per install putting this on, because it's a huge pain. So just some parting thoughts. Also, if you guys have received your GFC V2 Pro with your headliner already installed, I'd be curious if there's anybody out there who's actually received theirs with it actually already installed. Everyone I've talked to or seen on the internet has been saying that it's been getting shipped to them. Obviously mine got shipped to me probably, gosh, I ordered mine in July of last year, and I picked mine up it was at the shop ready for pickup just the week after Thanksgiving, and it is now May 7th when I'm doing the install. I got it in the mail maybe a week and a half ago. So, you know, approaching a year from order. I just got the final part of my V2 Pro, and I had to spend 2.5, 3 hours installing it myself. You know, not ideal. Overall, I would say, you know, it's worth it now that it's on there, especially if you're not a videographer. One, this is going to provide some insulation. It's also going to prevent any condensation from building up on top and like dripping down on you. This will be a huge game changer for that. And then also, I guess, you know, audio-wise, audio is going to be a little better because now there's not just a hard flat surface up top, where now this almost acts like a sound absorber. So, you know, wins and losses on this thing. I think next up I've got a whole bunch of patches I want to install. I don't know, I think maybe I'll start, I don't know if I should put them down below, but I feel like by my head is already pretty tight, and if I put them all the way up top here by the light, you won't see them that often. So maybe I'll just put them like on this panel here I think that would look good. So I guess we'll just go, I don't know, left to right. Start throwing some patches on. I'll start with the GFC patch. Awesome. Dinkelberg and his motorcycle. Cool. So I think patch-wise, I'm just going to start kind of filling this up, maybe left to right, or I might just scatter them. I honestly don't know. So first off, we'll start with the focus, the GFC patch, and that seems like as good a spot as any. And then we've got, and these patches, I haven't taken my truck to these places. These are places that I've traveled to. We've got Crater Lake National Park. I think for now, I'll just keep it kind of random, and then maybe once I get more, I can start to organize it. Oh, this is cool. I did a TV show out in Belize, the country. Did like a fishing charter reality show. So I've got my Belize patch there. Seems like a good spot. Gotta throw it down for the old Chattanooga patch. Start spacing them out a little bit. And we've got Congaree National Park. That is in South Carolina. Throw that one over there. Tortilla Flats in Arizona on the Apache Trail. That one's pretty cool. I'm gonna stick that one kind of in the middle. Fall Creek Falls State Park, which is a big state park here in Tennessee. I've been told actually that the new live action or live person, the non-animated version of the Jungle Book was actually filmed there. So that's pretty cool. I'm gonna put that one right there. I've got another Chattanooga patch there with the walking bridge. It's actually the only bridge you can walk across in Chattanooga to get from one side of the city to the other. And unfortunately, fortunately and unfortunately, they just closed it for about a 2-year project where they're going to totally redo it. But it's a really cool bridge. It gives me like Great Gatsby vibes, I know, in a weird way, I guess, with the architecture and the lighting and all that. So I'm hoping that when they redo it, they keep it kind of similar and don't change it altogether. We've got Red Rocks, Colorado. If you guys aren't familiar, that's a basically an outdoor amphitheater that's kind of made out of the rocks in Colorado. It's really cool. It's a great place to go see a show. We saw Lord Huron last year at Red Rocks. So I'm gonna toss that one right here, kind of fill up some space on this side. Got to throw it down for my boys in blue in America. Put that one right there, seems good. Actually, I feel like the flag's got to go up high, you know? Flag's got to be up top. Throw a flag right there. And last but not least, we've got the Great Smoky Mountains National Park patch. A lot from Tennessee. I've actually seen a fair bit here in Tennessee, which is cool. And I try to get patches wherever I go just because for something like this. And I used to have them on the inside of my Tacoma up top, and it is a much smaller space, so it seemed like I had a lot more. And as you can tell, not so many once they're up here, but very cool nonetheless. And so with that being said, guys, I will wrap it up here. Let me know if you guys have any questions on the install. The instructions themselves were kind of helpful just in telling you the general area of where it's supposed to go, but they didn't give you any measurements. So there is a lot of trial and error on this install. And if you guys run into any issues or have any questions, feel free to drop me a comment and let me know. Also, you can reach out to me on Instagram and shoot me your questions there. But I will see you guys in the next one. Got some Prelude parts for the 91 coming in, which I'm so excited for. And that's all I got for you. I love you guys. Keep elevating, my friends. Adios.